Hi, and welcome back to Teachertube. This is education's premier channel where we discuss all things related to education. And today I have a very exciting topic for you. We're going to be learning all about what it takes to actually nail your interview as a first time teacher, aspiring teacher, or if you'd like to be accepted into a teacher educational preparatory program. And I'm going to be spilling all of my insider secrets, my best tips, and my best advice. Let me give you a little bit about me. So, I was recruited and selected to be a part of a very elite educational preparatory program, and it's specifically for teaching. And this was important. It was a big feat because I have no background in education. I've worked in so many different industries, but never in education. So I was walking into unknown territory and I was recruited, made an offer, and matched. And I was selected to become a teacher resident. So what that means is I was essentially placed on an alternative route to education. Um, so I have some very exciting tips to share. Tip number one, be on time, be early because it matters, but it matters more than anything in education because you are being paid and employed based solely on contract hours. So, what that means is in education, there's a set time that you arrive, there's a set time that you can depart. So, when you show up for the interview and let's say you're 5 minutes or you're 10 minutes early, it shows them this is someone that would do well in the training process. This is someone that's going to do well as an actual paid contracted teacher or aspiring teacher. So you want to be on time. I went through a series of about 4 interviews. I went through one Zoom interview. I went through a panel interview. I went through an interview with the superintendents, and then I went through fourth interview, which was school districts, teachers, and superintendents. You want to be on time. Be on time. Be on time. Time. My second tip is study. Know your demographic, know your client, know your customer, as you would in any business venture. Education is a business. You are the product, you're selling yourself, right? You are selling yourself. Your students will become the results. It'll become the proof of your work or the proof of your product. But you are initially the product and you have to sell yourself. So you want to study the demographics. You want to see, is this a good fit? Because every fit's not going to be a good fit. Maybe you're not cut out for that demographic or that demographic isn't cut out for you. So if you study the towns, you study the districts, you'll start to learn all the nuances to see, is this something you'd be good at? And it'll help you, especially if you're in a college or teacher preparatory program, because you will know how to market yourself. The school will know how to market you if you are offered admission when it's time to complete your student teaching hours. Study the demographics to see, is this something that would even work? Is that town or that district a good fit? Because the last thing you want to be is in contract with a district that is just a no-go for you. The network is what you should be thinking about. Don't just look at the temporary, I need a job, I want a job. Start to look at the network, the chain of command, all the way up to the superintendent. You may not even want anything to do with that district or that union or that organization once you learn about it. Third tip I have, know your resume like the back of your hand. And I'm going to come back and I'm going to do a more in-depth video on this. A lot of these tips I will really break down. But know your resume. If you're an aspiring teacher, you really have to know your resume, because if you've never worked in this industry, you have to go above and beyond to show why you are a good fit for this industry. Why does this industry need you? Why would you be a beneficial asset? How are you going to impact or help the youth, and not only the youth, but the community you're working for? I'll give you an example. I was accepted into this program, but I don't have any traditional experience in education. I did do some substitute teaching, but my work history was not reflective. It just wasn't reflective. When you're up against other interviewees and candidates that have been para-educators, substitute teachers, former teachers, or they did their undergraduate degrees in education or master degrees in education, and you're coming in and you used to be a paralegal, or you used to work at McDonald's, you used to work at Sephora, they're going to want to know how those skills can benefit the youth of today, the youth of tomorrow, and the community. For me, I've been working with peoples and with customers my entire life. I have a lot of experience working with customers. A lot of those soft skills and hard skills transfer over. I even used to work in IT, so I have tech experience. You will need those, especially in today's learning culture, where since COVID-19, learning started in person, then it went back to remote, then it was hybrid, and now it's in person, but much of the lesson plans are structured on clouds, on software. Just in case, in the event that we have another shutdown, all the teacher would have to do is literally sign on to her Zoom or her cloud software, upload the documents to the software, and teach her students or his students. So a lot of these skills can be transferred. If you used to be a coach, if you used to be an athlete in the Army, teachers need to be organized. They need to be very tactical when it comes to systems, patterns, routines. Because when you're working with youth, everything is going to boil down to how organized you are, the routine, how you can manage them, and your customer service. Because when people are entrusting their kids to you, you have to be approachable. So I was able to pivot very quickly in the interview when those questions came up, because no, I don't have any formal experience, but I have other soft skills. Know your resume and use it to your advantage, because the truth of the matter is we have a mass exodus that's happened, where you do have educators that are, one, being fired, their contracts aren't being renewed, and they're retiring or they're quitting altogether. So we still have students. Who's going to teach them? Certainly, recruitment is going to start trickling into different avenues. You're going to have to find people that were not your first option on black and white paper. Maybe this is a second or a third career for you. The fact of the matter is, people from all walks of life qualify and can be great teachers. So know your resume. My fourth tip is going to be always, always, always start off with eye contact. Maybe that should have been one of my first tips, But you want to make good eye contact. You want to be kind. You want to let your personality shine through so that they can kind of sort of get a feel for who you are. Because kindness does go a long way. And you want to let your personality come through. Maybe you're funny. Maybe you're very astute. You want to show them how you would interact with or how you would be able to make a connection with youth. My fifth tip is going to be have an answer for why you want to be in education. Have an answer. It will come up. They will ask you, why do you want to be in this industry? Why do you want to be a teacher? There are a lot of ways to answer that question. The traditional route would be, I want to be a teacher because I had a teacher that inspired me, or I have a family that comes from education, or I love children, I want to help them. Good answers. I went with a less traditional answer. My answer was the truth. It was, I didn't want to be in education. I told them in all honesty, I substituted, and for whatever reason, this last time I substituted, which I've done off and on since COVID, I used to tutor here or there. And I told them, these second and these little third graders sucked me in. And I literally said just like that. These intermediate little kids sucked Miss W in. That's what I told them. I said they sucked me in. They just got me. They smiled, they winked, and they sucked me in. They laughed and they said, we've never heard anybody say that. I'm telling you, have an answer, and don't always try to come up with the most traditional answer. Be real. That's going to bring me to my next tip. Be genuine. Be real, because you want to make sure who you are shines through. And there's so much repetition. Wash, rinse, repeat, that you stand out. If you are not a cookie cutter, you will stand out and they will remember you. Be real though. Don't be fake. Don't give an answer that I gave, because then they're going to say, well, that sounds like something they heard somewhere. No, be real. Come up with your version of what I just said. My next tip is going to be discuss how you will work with families in the community. That question may come up, it may not. You need to have a plan and an answer for how you plan on engaging. I'll give you an example of what I said. What I said is, I believe school should be an open door policy, meaning a parent has the right to come in and out of the classroom. Free will. If you are in the neighborhood and you just want to pop by to see what little Johnny is doing, those are your kids, they're not mine. I think, and I would welcome every parent to be involved. Maybe you could invite them in. I said maybe I could invite them in to do read alouds, to chaperone field trips, to make special phone calls. You know, it makes kids feel good to know that, yeah, they're at school, but their parents are still with them in some sort of a way. And it helps the educator, because if you know me, mom, and dad are on the same team, that helps you to learn, and that helps you to respect the routines and the boundaries. Open door policy. And, you know, I'm not sure what the liabilities or the legalities are of that, but I do believe it should be an open door policy. You want to plan as much as possible around that family because it's a system. It's a circle. It's like an ecosystem. One thing relates to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next. This is what ensures the ship doesn't sink and that thing smooth sailing. I just said, and that thing smooth sailing. That thing sails smoothly. But you get what I'm saying. My next tip is going to be talk about working with diverse learners, right? So not everyone learns the same. Not everybody is from the same socioeconomic level. Not all people are from the same cultures, right? And what's happening a lot today is a lot of the schools, they do have charters. So they do have to welcome in neighboring towns and cities. So you might have a child that lives in this town, but they go to school in that town. How are you going to accommodate, modify, and work with them? Be ready to answer that. And not only that, you're going to have students that are on level, below level, and above. Like, what are some ideas you might have to make sure that everyone's needs are getting met? And what are your beliefs on that? Do you feel like everyone should learn the same material and complete the same curriculum? I'm going to make another video where I go more in depth on these things, but this is the beginning. These were 10-ish. I gave you 10 tips on how to nail that interview, how to get the offer. My last tip that I will leave you with is make sure you remind them of how important the youth are. During your interview, reiterate that because you will be interviewing with principals, administrators, school staff, superintendents, people that work in these offices. I'm not saying that they didn't used to work in schools. I'm sure much of the requirements are that they had to be former teachers, but they are now far removed from that. They do not walk the halls anymore. They do not, a lot of them don't. And it's going to be evident when you sit down with them, it's going to be evident that they are far removed from the youth. Have an answer. Bring it back to why you're doing what you're doing and how you can best benefit them. Maybe you are just a funny person and you work well because you like to crack jokes. That's important. You don't want it to be a jail when it's supposed to be third grade. Bring that up. Let that shine through. And don't dim your personality down. And I will be back with more information and more tips.